Hey everyone, pretty exciting day here. This is my 2017 Street Glide. I'm going to be installing the new Soundstream radio for Harley 14 and up, and yeah, it's apparently it came out January 1st 2022, and so I do have it in hand now, so I'll show you what's in the box here shortly. Just a quick overview of the bike. So recently purchased the bike. I ended up putting the chrome version of the OEM Enforcer wheels, as you can see there in the front. Added the Vance & Hine X-Pipe, the power dual, with the Torker 450s, which I like. I did see them in Sturgis, and I really like the sound. Apparently they have good performance, so they're not quite that might drive better performance, but I think it's got enough of an upgrade on performance that yeah, it'll be fine, and I do like the sound. I did add a SNS 475 cam with the high airflow Screaming Eagle intake, and I did paint the inner fairing, and so I need to add the rear view mirrors, which I've purchased, and I will be putting those on here shortly. So as I said, I did paint the inner fairing. It's gloss black now, and then obviously the old radio will be coming out, and we'll be putting the new radio. I do have the Clockworks windshield, and then as you'll see shortly when I take this off, I have an amplifier with completely plug and play, so I didn't have to cut any wires, and I'll show you that shortly. Yeah, and there's enough videos out there to show you how to remove the fairing, but basically there's 3 screws up on top and 4 on the inside, and then it'll come right off. So yeah, let's get moving. Alright folks, we're going to do the unboxing here. I don't expect a whole lot. It is a plug and play, yeah, so there shouldn't be a whole lot to it. So I did purchase the handlebar controls, so I believe the small unit should be in here. But here's the harness. If you don't use, I believe, I haven't installed it yet obviously, but if you don't use the handlebar controls, I believe you can plug directly into your Harley radio. But in my case, I did buy the handlebar unit, so I'm assuming one end will plug into the radio, and then the other end will go into the handlebar control unit. So let's see what we have here. So there's the harness, and we have the radio. So there's the handlebar control, and so we'll be installing that. And here's the unit. So yeah, there it is. Looks pretty nice. We'll be installing it. So as I said a moment ago, the unit is complete, plug and play. So that connector that I'm pointing to with my pinky finger is where the Harley harness plugs into, and then you have the USB connection and the radio connection. Then you do have some instructions, which is really nice up on top, because on the Harley radio or any other radio you don't have that. So nice touch by the folks at Soundstream to have that on the radio to help folks out that are installing their own radio. Quick overview of what I already have in there. So you can see I have a Rockford Fosgate punch. It's a 300 watt 300 by 2, so it's a 2-channel. I only run 2 speakers, and that's more than enough for what I use it for. I do a lot of distance riding. So all right folks, I have to kind of qualify all that I've done to install the new Soundstream radio onto my 2017 Street Glide. I intended to show you all the installation, but the video was so bad, the lighting was off, and you can barely see what I was doing. So I'm going to recap what I did. I have the unit installed. I rode around today for a couple hours and everything works fine. Hand controls, it looks great. I stopped at the Harley dealership here locally, and folks came out looking at it and they were pretty impressed with what they saw. So anyways, here we go. Took the old radio out. So the old radio was in the same location that you see here, and it's held by this bracket that has 7 screws. They got 2 on the right, 2 on the left, and then 2 in the back that screw into the speedometer housing. Take those 6 out and this plate will come off. What you see here is I have the amplifier on, so you may not have that, but yeah, all of what I have is all plug and play. So to install the amplifier, I bought a module from Amazon that's completely plug and play. I didn't have to cut into any of the wires. So once you have that bracket off, the radio screws to the bottom plate. It's got 2 screws on the bottom of the right and 2 screws on the bottom on the left. Once you take those screws out, then the radio is free to come out. You will have to take the speedometer housing off. So the 2 screws that I talked about that are on this plate here, and then there's one in the middle. So there's 3 screws to take the housing out. That'll enable the radio to clear the housing to come off. So then once you have that off, it's pretty simple. You put the new radio in, as you see here, put the 4 bolts, 2 on each side, down to the bottom plate, put the 7 screws back on, and then in my case I put the amplifier that screws onto the top of the radio back on, and then everything else is plug and play. So if you look at what I have here, this is the factory harness. The OEM plug would normally plug right into the unit, and it does in this case. However, to use the handlebar controls, Soundstream provides a wiring harness. So your wiring harness is located here, and so the OEM harness plugs into the Soundstream harness on one side, and then the other side of the Soundstream harness plugs into your radio, and then the handlebar control is plugged into 2 of the connections from the wiring harness that's supplied, one here and then one on the other side, and that's pretty much it. And then once it's plugged in, you're good to go. I still need to zip tie this thing so it doesn't move around. This is my headlight plug. So yeah, it's pretty simple. I tucked most of the OEM wiring into the side pocket here. Then I have my amplifier adapter stuffed into the right side. So that's pretty much it. Went for a 2-hour ride today. Everything worked well, and yeah, everything about it so far has been great, and I really can't offer you anything else. It's pretty easy. My install was about an hour long, and the USB connection is here, and then the radio antenna is here. So that's about it. I'm going to button this thing up, and this show is going to be over. All right, folks, we got it all back together again. You can see the screen is on, and haven't selected any color options yet. It's just as it was as I started it up, and looks really nice. So as I keep saying, I'm not going to play any music because of copyright issues, but yeah, looking pretty good and pretty excited with what I've gotten here. So yeah, I played the radio with the amp and the Android audio, and everything is working fine. I think the whole thing took me an hour, So yeah, not a very difficult thing to do. And the radio I purchased from, I believe I mentioned it already, from 702 Motoring. They're out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and they have a website that I bought it from, and I bought it on Monday and I received it on Wednesday. So yeah, quick shipment, and I called them a couple of times for technical questions, and they were right there ready to help. And again, I don't get anything from them or Soundstream. I'm just trying to show folks who are going to do it themselves or thinking about doing it themselves that yeah, it's not a big deal. Nice radio, plug and play, not messy, don't have to cut any wires, and yeah, just the way I like it.